Hey, welcome back to Rust Order Garage, and it's freezing. And I'm looking at air conditioning stuff. Why? Well, it's the next thing on the list of the build. There's nothing I can do about it. I have to do air conditioning stuff so I can move along on the truck and get it finished. But, even though it's freezing, I'll show you some stuff on this Mark IV air conditioning unit that I was going to use. And now I'm not. My fault, mostly. Well, my fault completely. You see, I picked up this neat, probably 1960s Mark IV unit here, the evaporator. And when I first mocked it up under the dash, it was no issue, but then I put my heater in and I should have slid the heater more to the passenger side. Now this really does not fit. It looks too massive. I can't get it under the dash enough to make it look usable. So now I'm at the mercy of waiting on parts. I'm using a different evaporator. But I figure, let me show you some stuff on this Mark IV unit in case you want to install one. And I am going to install this in another build. I'll just take the time to get it mocked up before I make any other changes next time. So there's not much to these things. What I'm going to do is show you how the electrical side of it works. I can't really show you or figure out how to test like the TXV valve or if the evaporator has a leak in it. You're going to find out about the leak when you pump down the system, I suppose. And the TXV, I guess you're just same thing. When you turn on the system, you'll find out if it's working or not. You could just replace it and save yourself some trouble because these old R12 units use flare type fittings, not the normal, or I should say not the O-ring style that are now commonly used. This TXV valve has all flare type connections, which is not a big deal. You can buy flare type fittings, but they're just something that's not gonna come in your normal kits, you know, like when you look on eBay or whatever and they have the kit with all the different, they'll give you some lengths of each size hose, 6, 8, and 10. They'll give you a whole bunch of fittings. All those fittings are going to be O-ring style and not the flare style. So if you do use one of these and you decide not to change the TXV valve, or you replace that TXV valve with an older style, you're still going to need flare fittings. Now, I am assuming, I hate when I have to assume, but I'm assuming you could replace this with a newer style. Now, I have not cut open the connection point here. I am assuming, based on what I've seen of TXV valves, that that's just like a threaded fitting there, that you could put a newer style on there. I guess I really can't say unless I cut that open, and I'm not doing that right now. I'll do that when I install this in another vehicle. But just keep in mind, without going into too much craziness, I guess just assume you're going to have to buy flare type fittings to install one of these. So over and above your normal O-ring fittings. It's enough all that. Let me show you how to test this thing electrically so you know it's going to work before you even put it in the vehicle. Let me just show you the electrical connection points on this, and it should be pretty much the same even for a modern evaporator. They all work on the same principle. So we're going to have the circuit breaker here mounted on the back. Now we're going to have 12 volts in. That's going to be this wire here. That's going to feed the circuit breaker. Then the output of the circuit breaker is going to go into the unit. And then we have this wire here, which is coming out of the unit. That's going to go to the positive side of the compressor. That's going to be the output feed. And for ground, we're going to attach directly to the unit. So I'm going to hook my battery up to this. I'm going to hit the positive side of my battery to the input side of the circuit breaker, and my negative side of the battery to the frame of this unit. And then I'm going to put a test light on this output wire here, and I'll show you how that works so you can test to make sure this thing is actually going to turn on the compressor and make sure the fans are working. All right, so I've got the unit wired up. I have the positive side of the battery hooked to the input side of the circuit breaker, negative side of the battery hooked to the frame of the evaporator, and also to the negative side of my test light. And I have the trigger wire, which would turn on the compressor, hooked to the positive side of my test light. So when you ask for air conditioning, it should send 12 volts out to turn on the compressor. So when the test light comes on, that means it's turning on the compressor. As long as that light turns on, when we have the switches in the right spot, then electrically this unit's working. So right now I have both switches turned off. The left side switch is for the fan, the right side switch is for the temperature. So I'm just going to turn on the left side and make sure the fans work. And they turned on. And you can change the speed here, medium, low. Okay. And I have the temperature off right now, so it's not asking for air conditioning. I'm going to turn this on, and it has 1 through 5. The highest number would be the most cooling. Now right now, it's not turning on, probably because it's so cold in here that it thinks the air conditioning is on. So what I'm going to do is I have a heat gun. I'm going to put a little heat in the fan and let it blow warm air across the evaporator and see if we can get this to warm up so it thinks that the air conditioning is not on. And we'll see if it turns on the compressor. Yep, and there it goes. There's the light. So now it's telling the compressor to turn on. And if I turn down the temperature, the light goes off. Turn the temperature up, compressor goes on. So the thermostat switch inside here is working fine. You turn it off, it turns on, or it turns off. And it's also going by fan speed. Put the fan on high, it's asking for air conditioner, turn it down. Oh, it's staying on. It's probably just a little dirty rheostat in there. Yep. She's old, a little dirty in the contacts. Little electrical cleaner in there, or just working it back and forth and it'll be fine. But the switch inside is working. So that's how you test the electrical side of this, so at least when you put it in, you know that this stuff is working. All right, so that's it. Just a quick video for those of you who have these, want to know how to wire them up and check it, because I could not find any videos or anything on these Mark IV units. These were very popular in the 60s and should be the same. There's a lot of different designs, but it should be the same wiring setup for just about any of these that you find, I would think. Pretty simple. But that's that. So like I said, I am still waiting on parts now for the air conditioning install on this. I am not an air conditioning expert, so don't expect a whole lot. Let's hope it works. But if you want to see an amateur do an air conditioning install, check out the video. If you've not watched the videos, I'm building a 56 Chevy truck with a budget of $5,000 total, all in, including the truck and everything else, cash out of pocket. $5,000, that's it. So far we're doing all right. So I hope that helped. If you've got one of these units, if you're following the 56 Chevy truck build, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun doing the videos, even though I'm freezing and I can't feel my toes right now. Thank you for those who've subscribed. I really appreciate it. It makes it fun to share with you guys. So that is it. Until the next one, see ya.